Sambhu sir on the video. Okay. Start.
Good morning to you all.
Sir, one minute. Connect agadu. Okay, Sambhu sir, start.
Good morning to you all. Today is the second session of our webinar series. Today, our professor Dr. Punaswamy sir will be presenting a program on CSR UGC NET aspirants. That is for verification program for CSR UGC NET aspirants. Of course, sir is an USR, CSR UGC NET passed candidate. Especially for PG students, this is an everybody's aim is to clear CSR UGC NET, because once you done it means you are put in a different Ivy League. This is our aim. Previously there was many centers, two centers only, especially Karaikudi and Chennai alone. But nowadays we find that many more centers are there. So for all CSR UGC NET aspirants, this is made easy, the process made easy. So Sir has got a very good experience regarding this CSR UGC, because he is a coordinator for CSR UGC for his college, the Government Arts College in Coimbatore. And he is also an patron for Jayaraman Research Foundation. That is a foundation that is helping in the candidates for CSR UGC NET qualifications. With welcome address to all the aspirants as well as fellow teachers and professors. Now I invite Professor Dr. G. Rajagopal, HOD of Chemistry, CBSE, Chikkana Government Arts College, Tirupur, to give the introduction about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sampath Kumar. Greetings and very good morning to one and all present digitally and virtually. I take immense pleasure in introducing the speaker of the day, Dr. S. Punaswamy. He is currently the Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Chemistry, Government Arts College, Coimbatore. He did his post-graduation in the American College, Madurai. After that, he was awarded CSIR UGC JRF and lecturership in 1989 and qualified GATE exam in GATE 1990 and scored 98%. For each and every postgraduate student of a reputed institute, it is a dream to qualify any one of these exams. But he achieved both. So he's a great scholar. He got his PhD degree from Bharatiyar University in the area of synthetic organic chemistry under the guidance of late Professor R. Jairam. In academic side, he started his teaching profession in Kongunadu Arts and Science College, Coimbatore, and served there for about 3 years. Then he qualified an examination for college lecturers recruitment conducted by TRB Tamil Nadu. He got first rank in TRB exam at state level in the year 1998. Then he joined as government college lecturer in 1998 at Dharmapuri. Then he moved to Chikkana Government Arts College, Tirupur, that's our college, and then to Government Arts College, CBE. At present, he is heading the department. He is going to complete 25 years of teaching service. During his service in Chikkana Government Arts College, he established a very good chemistry lab for the benefit of students. In the research side, he has published around 100 papers and he has guided several PhDs, around 11 PhDs and 35 MPhil scholars. Received UGC minor and major research projects worth of 12 lakhs in the field of organic chemistry and spectroscopy. Further, he is the reviewer for 5 international journals. In administrative side, he is actively involving in curriculum development and served as chairman, member, coordinator of Board of Studies in various institutions at college and university level. As an administrator, he served as FIST coordinator, FIST coordinator, and received first funds for the development of his institution. Served as coordinator UGC NET coaching program at college level. In addition to that, he is the key person functioning Ramasubbu Jayaraman Science Foundation. Okay, that is his guide, and in his guide's names, the alumni of their students. Okay, they started a foundation. Its head office in CLRI, Chennai. So he's the key person in functioning this R. Jayaraman Foundation, which is giving free coaching for CSIR net exam for students. So I am very proud to welcome such a wonderful speaker to our webinar. Sir, now I request Dr. Pannuswamy to present his lecture. Thank you. Sir?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Thank you. Is it visible, Vijay? Shall I proceed? Hello?
Sir, it is visible, sir. You can go on, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Very good morning to one and all present in this virtual meeting. I deem it a great pleasure and privilege to join in this meeting and share my experience with the future of India, the students. And first of all, I must thank Dr. Rajagopal, HOD of Chikanaga Government Arts College Chemistry Department, for giving me a chance to share my experience. Sometimes back, nearly 2 or 3 weeks before, when we met at Government Arts College, he asked me to discuss about this importance of CSIR UGC examinations to the students. So, and I thought it's better in stuff. And I feel it is also very right. I think it's up time because the students are having enough time now, so they can utilize this time to prepare for this NET examination. So thank you, Rajagopal, for giving me a chance and for the nice introduction. And I thank Dr. Sampath Kumar and also the coordinator for this session, Dr. Balamani and Dr. Vijayan, and all the faculty members of Chikanaga Government Arts College for wonderfully arranging this webinar. Really, it was fantastic. Day before yesterday, I also attended the webinar. Really, they have arranged very well. My congratulations to the team. Now, why you are? Let me move on to this our program today. So it is not a session to coach the students or with the questions. So I didn't prefer to discuss the questions alone because this one session will not be enough to handle the questions. We need at least 15 or 20 sessions to complete certain areas. So I thought it is better to give an orientation programs to the aspirants. And some of you may be aware of these things already, but others, just to give a complete insight into this examination, why it is important, why the NET examination is important, why our students are not reluctant to take up these examinations. That's very important. Plus, see, when you join your PG program, when you join your UG program when you want to come to PG, the mark is essential in most of the institutions. Of course, there are institutions where you don't need to, they don't bother about the marks. They will just conduct the entrance examination like Madurai Kamaraj University. Based on the entrance examination mark, they will admit to PG. So there your knowledge, that only is tested. And most of the institutions, they will admit you based on the BSc marks. Once you come to the MSc, your marks may not play a significant role. The knowledge plays a role. Wherever you go, when you go for a job, they will conduct an entrance or interview, and so like that. So the knowledge is the criteria. But what our students are normally doing is they will just aim for the degree. So they will consider that exam, semester exam, and take up this semester exam, and they aim only for the degree. So they don't consider this NET exam. Maybe even in our institution, you could see a good number of people. They are capable of cracking this examination. They are capable, but they are not willing to take up the examination. Maybe due to the laziness, since they are getting the job immediately, a decent job. So maybe the reason for that. But when you get to the NET examination, it is an asset for you throughout your career. It speaks a lot. So that only I wanted to impress upon in this session. And for example, when you complete your MSc, even now the Bharatiya University is conducting a set exam for the admission into MPhil and PhD program, common eligibility test, MPhil and PhD program. Now, till last year, they didn't bother about the minimum marks. Even the person scored 2 marks out of 35 got the admission to PhD or MPhil. But last year, they insisted the minimum mark, that is 10 out of 35. And last year, many students were not able to get the admission of MPhil and PhD just because they were not able to score 10 marks out of 35. So you may really wonder, is it very tough to score 10 marks out of 35? So that means our system, there is some problem with our system. The questions are not analytically oriented. So in this context, I appeal on the faculty members to please look into this and try to give analytical oriented questions and problem oriented questions. And sometimes before, you can see that in all physical chemistry question papers, a lot of problems would be asked in BSc level and MSc level. But nowadays, you can rarely find problems. And even without bothering about this end semester examination, you can even, our faculty members can give these standard questions, article oriented questions during the internal examination, so that we can focus, we can prepare our students to face this NET examination. That's an alternate idea. We can utilize the internal examination or a separate examination to focus them for this NET examination. So you may wonder, 10 out of 35 in the set for their university for the admission for MPhil and PhD is so easy, and those questions are not very tough, very tough. So even that examination, our students are not able to crack, get the eligibility mark. But when you consider the NET is also almost equal to 10 out of 35. I will show you during my session that minimum cutoff mark in the NET and this are same. You need to score approximately 10 out of 35. That's all in the NET also. So about the NET examination, this JRF examination is being conducted since 1984, and this lecturership examination has been conducted from 1989. And fortunately, I was the first batch of students to appear for this lecturership examination. Before that, it was only the JRF examination for Junior Research Fellowship. And from 1989 onwards, UGC, CSIR conducted the examination for both JRF as well as lecturership. And those who passed JRF examination will automatically qualify for the lecturership examination. And the government. So when you talk about this, one is the JRF examination conducted by UGC, CSIR, and another is the state level examination. This is on par with the NET. State governments are conducting an examination called as a state eligibility test. But in the year 2002, UGC has passed a resolution stating that the qualified candidates shall be eligible for appointment to the post of lecturers or assistant professors only in the universities, colleges belonging to the state where they have passed set examination. So when you get through the set examination now from Tamil Nadu, so you are eligible to apply for the post of assistant professors only in Tamil Nadu. it is not eligible in other states. And so, because of this importance, I wanted to highlight the UGC view. Why that NET examination is very important. The 11th plan actually. So UGC has realized that they want to have a good faculty, right? Inspiring faculty in the teaching. Therefore, those times in the 90s, many of them, after completing a post-graduation and NET and all, they prefer to go for the industry and abroad. So they wanted to strengthen the teaching. That way you can strengthen the human resource. So human resource is a very important thing. Human resource is nothing but our students. So what to develop the human resource, we need to have good teachers. So they try to attract the teachers by giving a good salary for the teaching. Before that, the salary for the teachers was very, very minimum. And they wanted to increase the number of NET qualified candidates. So in the 11th plan, UGC focused on this remedial coaching for the weaker section of students and coaching for NET and coaching for NET and coaching for entry in services, that is for IAS and IPS and other service commission examinations. So all the three, the UGC has given funds for all the colleges, aided and government colleges and universities. And we conducted all these three coaching, remedial coaching, coaching for NET and coaching class for entry in services. At least the faculty from our institution, they conducted classes on request. They conducted classes to at least 2 or 3 aided colleges in Coimbatore. And we conducted these NET classes open to all, even to the public, that is housewives and other college students. So in our college, the response was good, but many institutions, I could say the response was very, very, very good. So government has given the fund, so we can call the reputed people to speak about the subject, deliver the subject, but till then, the students were not utilized it properly. So that may be the other reason why the government has discontinued that coaching. So it has aimed all for the SC, ST and non-creamy layer of OBC and minority students. So we bring them up in a good position. And the NET about this national eligibility test, it is only the joint CSIR UGC examinations pertaining to 5 subjects: chemical science, mathematical science, physical science, earth sciences, and life sciences. And this one, and the remaining subjects would be conducted by UGC alone. So those examinations conducted at each and every quarters of the university. So, but only for UGC CSIR, as Dr. Sampath mentioned, there were only 2 centers in Tamil Nadu. Earlier it was Madurai and Chennai, and later it was Chennai and Kari. Only 2 centers. And set examination by Government of Tamil Nadu, and one more examination. It is not a NET examination, but it is a all India level examination, graduate aptitude test in engineering by Ministry of Human Resource and Development. These exams are conducted by IITs and IICs, Institutes of Science. So by getting through this GATE examination, you can join directly to the IITs and IIC. So you are qualified. But in other places, you can join in the project. So you can work as a JRF for 2 years and SRF for 1 year, Senior Research Fellow for 1 year, and after that, you can apply for the CSIR SRF and get the fellowship for remaining 2 years. But join this CSIR NET, if you get through this NET examination, then you can avail the fellowship for 5 years. Even in 90s itself, IITs and IIC, they prefer the candidates of CSIR NET. The reason being, their financial burden will be reduced. So they also prefer these CSIR NET candidates. And the 11th plan, just view of UGC, just I will give you. The 11th plan focuses on inclusiveness with equal access to all. The review of enrollment rate, that is what very important. reveals a disparity. That is a disparity between rural and urban, between the states, between the caste, between the religion, between the gender, and economic and occupation. So just they wanted to remove it. That's why the UGC was interested in coaching for net. The gross enrollment ratio for tertiary education is significantly lower than the national average in the case of SC, ST, OBC, non-creamy layer, and minorities. So they just introduced the coaching format so that thereby these students, right, they improved at a faster rate so that the gap in the enrollment rate is reduced. It is also important that these students not only complete higher education, but also encouraged to choose teaching as a career and become role models to others of their group. That is what very important. So why this role model is very important? See, in a particular institution, the teachers, the professors, they keep on training their students for the net. No result for 2 or 3 years. Then what will happen? They will get tired. It's only the result, right? Success rate will boost the interest of the faculty and also the students in the institution. If 1 or 2 students first get through the net examination in a particular college, then morally they will get the boost. Their own department students and the college students and the neighbors and all the friends, they will get the morally, they will be boosted. So thereby they can act as a role model to their institution, and many students will be ready to take up the examination. So that is very, very important. And in order to ensure more and more students of these weaker sections become eligible to apply for teaching course, the UGC introduced the scheme for coaching. So that was the idea behind this UGC at that time. And the main objective of the scheme is to prepare the candidates for appearing NET or SET so that sufficient number of candidates become available for selection of assistant professors in the university system from this school. So they started this NET examination as the minimum qualification for the entry into the teaching position in the college. Even in the year 1990, they started. But till now, the UGC is not able to implement it. Till now, the sufficient number of candidates are not available. So even in the school, all the teachers are going through the TET. So TET made it as compulsory. They must pass the TET because they know it is must. So they prepare for that, they get through it and they get the appointment. But in colleges, till now, the sufficient number of candidates are not available. Even after 30 years, it's not available. So this is opportunity placed in front of you. I would say that you are not having the sufficient number of candidates so far. So the gate is open to you. So opportunity is there. So only thing is you should aim for it. So you can easily opportunities placed in front of you. So you have to challenge it. When you prepare, even after completing 1 year or 2 years of MSc, if you sit and prepare for 6 months or 1 year, definitely you can crack and you can enjoy the enormous benefit of this. We'll see. And so this is only for the Indian nationals. So other nationals cannot avail the fellowship using these JRF examinations. And this is just to ensure minimum standards for the entrance in teaching profession and research. And about the NET examination, there are 5 subjects I already mentioned. Joint CSE or UGC examination. It's a chemical sciences, health sciences, life science, mathematical science, physical sciences. And you can use this website of CSER to get the informations. And earlier, as Sambat mentioned, there were only 26 centers spread over India. For us, the nearby centers were Bangalore, Cochin, and Karaikal. And no TADA would be paid, and you can take up the examination for JRF and lectureship. But now we have plenty of centers, right? Now, from December 2019 onwards, CSIR has entrusted the responsibility of conducting this CSIR UGC NET in the computer-based testing mode to the National Testing Agency. So they will conduct the exam for both junior JRF as well as for lecturership. And this is applications you are applying online mode that you know after the press notification. And so the idea is it provides research fellowship for training. So I'll tell you what is the fellowship. Nearly more than 20 lakh rupees the government of India is spending for every candidate. So that is the investment to develop the human resource. So that we have to replace it. Nearly more than 20 lakh rupees per candidate government of India is spending. And they are training in methods of research under the expert guidance of faculty members, scientists working in university department, national laboratories, and institutions in various fields of science. So this CSIR examination is meant for only the science. And for other subjects, UGC will conduct a separate exam. And these fellowships are tenable or acceptable in universities, IITs, PG colleges, where you have the approval for research, and government research establishments, including those of CSIR, research development establishment of recognized public or private sector, industrial firms, and other recognized institutions. And this fellowship is acceptable only in India. You cannot avail this fellowship outside India. So it is your choice. When this is an asset for you. This is your asset. So you can join anywhere in India, the reputed institution or institutions of institutions which are near to your native, wherever you prefer, you can join. And the government of India will give the fellowship to you. So it's a great chance actually. And this CSIR NET, that certificate, the tag will travel with you till your retirement. And wherever you go, you will be preferred as NET candidate. Even for the projects, for example, one thing, if you get through the JRF examination, you can directly avail the fellowship wherever you join in the research institution. And if you get through the lecturership, you are eligible to join as lecturer. Even if you get through the JRF, if you don't prefer the research, if you want to as lecturer, you can join. Assistant professor, you can join. But when you get through this lecturership examination, you are eligible to join in the project. And it is easy to get SRF. After 2 years of the project, you can apply directly the CSIR SRF and you will be preferred since already you passed the NET examination. So these are the several advantages you have. And even if you are taking up, you are doing a research in a particular university, you have completed all your work and you have applied for the government job, you got a job in the assistant professor position, now you have an opportunity. You can convert your PhD into part-time and you can join the job. Because since you are eligible, without PhD, you are eligible. So you can directly join the job without any problem. You can also complete your PhD also, and you can join your job. After it's only, after a number of years, you can convert your PhD into part-time. It's eligible. So you can join. So these are the opportunities in front of you. And one thing I wanted to tell you, wherever you go, you will be prepared. And I want to mention one thing in this juncture. 2 years before, one of our students, Kavya, has got selected for the PhD program in one of the universities in Taiwan. And 2 persons competed for the higher fellowships there. That is one from a reputed university in India and another Kavya. Then our institution, because it's ranked 33rd position in the national level in the ranking. So based on that ranking, they awarded the higher fellowship to our students. So think about that. The NIRF ranking plays a role in giving the fellowship. Why not your national level exam? Abroad, the foreign universities know only about this GATE and NET examinations. So these two they consider as a national level examination in India. So when you get through this examination, even if you go abroad, you have the due respect. So you have to pay attention to that, and this exam just I wanted to tell you both, then the question will be bilingual, but we people we prefer only English, the question will be only in English. But if there is any ambiguity in the question, the English version is the final, and you have only 3 hours of duration. All the 3 parts will be covered earlier. It was when we wrote the examination, it was 2 parts, sorry, 3 parts, part A and part B morning session, part C in the evening session. Then they will give a answer sheet, then you have to write, but not very briefly you have to write the answer. The questions are in such a way. But now it is only the multiple choice question. So it's only 3 hours for all the part A, part B, and part C. Total marks is 200. Now we see that you can take up the examination in Coimbatore. It is conducted across 207 cities in India and so many exam centers. So that will vary time to time. And see, just think about the number of students took the examination in December 2019. There were 282,000 and our students registered, out of which only 80% of the students appeared. There is 225,000. And qualified through CSER JRF is only 2,185. Only net opted is only 87. And through UGC it is 1,656. And the candidates qualified for lecturership is 4,195. So when you think about in terms of percentage, so only 80% of the students appeared. Out of this 80%, only around less than 1.8% qualified for the NET examination and JRF examination, and only 1.9% qualified for lectureship examinations. Think about this percentage. Even the set examination conducted by Tamil Nadu, it is less than 3% usually we get. So why such a very poor result? The thing is, normally any competitive examination, see here, even here, only 80% appeared, turn up for the examination. So out of that 80%, 40% will not prepare for the examination. And the remaining 40, only maybe 10 to 20%, they took it very seriously. And out of that 10 or 20%, those who prepare very seriously, they will get. So this is the scenario. So lakhs of students are, this is for not chemistry, all the 5 subjects throughout India. So the vision of this National Testing Agency is the right candidates joining best. Now from December last year onwards, the National Testing Agency is conducting the exam. This zone exam will also be conducted by the National Testing Agency. And the vision is the right candidates joining the best institution will give India a demographic dividend. And the mission is to improve the equity and quality in education by administering research-based, valid, reliable, efficient, transparent, fair, and international level assessment. So now we are moving towards not only in economics, we are following the global. We are now this economic, everything is globalized. So education should also be globalized. When you are not in the race, then we will be left behind. So we should go along with these advancements. That is very important. So, and the core values why we have to have a NET examination is NTA will create a system which will promote teaching, learning, and assessment. So why this teaching, learning, assessment is so important? Even now the NAAC, in the NAAC assessment, teaching, learning, and assessment plays a major role in getting the rank. So teaching by the teachers, learning by the students, and assessment by the parents and the institution is very important. And the NTA strongly believes in quality, efficiency, effectiveness, equity, and security of assessments. So to practice these values, NTA will constantly engage with the stakeholders. The stakeholders are students, parents, teachers, experts, and partner institutions. And, and that's the objective is to conduct efficient, transparent, and international standard tests. So we have to compete globally now in order to assess the competency of the candidates for admission. So to undertake research on educational, professional, and testing system to identify gaps in the knowledge system and take steps for bridging them. To produce and disseminate information and research on education and professional development standards. So these are the objective behind this. And regarding the fellowship, that's so important. Now, presently the fellowship for the JRF is 31,000 per month, besides your HRA. And after 2 years, you will be upgraded to senior research fellow for another 3 years with a fellowship of 35,000. And in addition to that, you will be getting 20,000 per year as a contingency grant that can be utilized for purchasing other things, stationery items, or all other things. So that's a huge amount. So when you calculate, it comes more than 20 lakhs. So that's how the government of India is supporting. And one thing I wanted to tell you, even when you are completing +2, by the time of completing +2, you may not be aware of this JEE examination. Even if you are aware of that, you may not be in a position to crack that exam. So cracking JEE is not very easy. Even in the cities, parents are spending lakhs and lakhs of rupees, but the percentage of students getting through this JEE and joining the IIT is very, very, very minimum, particularly in Coimbatore also. Very, very, very minimum. So you might be aiming for IITs that time, but not very easy through JEE. The missed chance can be achieved through this NET examination. Now, if you get through the NET, you have every possibility to enter into these IITs. You can very easily enter through this gateway. And the government is giving enough. Why the government should give such a huge amount of fellowship? Only when the government supports them financially, these downtrodden and poor students are able to get into these reputed institutions and be a higher level of research. So the talent searching, in a talent searching program, the talented persons in a poor background can come up and do a very good research only through this support. And if you go to the IITs and IIC, you can see that many students from a very rural background, they are doing research there only because of this NET examination, NET qualification. And you will be exposed to the world-class infrastructure, a very good system, work culture, all facilities would be there. So you have to enjoy those atmosphere. Then, no, I cannot go to the IIT, I can join the university. You can join in the university with the same fellowship, and also in your nearby institution, even in your college, you can join with fellowships. All the opportunities are, if you want to join in the national laboratories, you can very well join all the national laboratories like NCL Pune or CLI, Chennai, Trivandrum, RRL. They have very good facilities. You can join, and within 2 or 3 or 4 years, you can complete your PhD with very good publications. So these are all the opportunities you have. And see that number of questions for all the 5 subjects. See, it's now at the present. So you cannot stick on to this because this will vary from time to time actually. But for the last few years, it is part A consists of 20 questions, out of which you need to answer only 50. Part B consists of 40 questions, out of which you need to answer only 35. Part C consists of 60 questions, out of which you need to answer only 25. So totally you need to answer only 75. Part A carries, each question carries 2 marks. Part B, each question carries 2 marks. And part C, it's a higher level, each question carries 4 marks. And part B and part C are chemistry, our chemistry or our science subject, our own subject. Right? And each part, 25% of the mark will be deducted for the wrong answers. Part A, 0.5 mark for each wrong answer. Part B, 0.5 mark for each wrong answer. And part C, 1 mark for each answer. But even within this, you can see for chemical sciences, earth sciences and life sciences, the number of questions are 75. But for mathematical sciences, only 60 need to answer. And for physical sciences, they need to answer only 55 questions. So that too varies between the subjects. And part A is common to all subjects, all the 5 subjects. So part A paper is same, all the 5. So this part shall contain questions to general aptitude with emphasis on logical reasoning, graphical analysis, analytical and numerical ability, quantitative comparison, series of formational puzzles, and also you'll get the questions, at least 4 questions from each of the subjects, the 5 subjects, mathematical science, chemical science, physical science. So, and it's very important that you should get the minimum score cut off from each of the parts. That's very important. Part A, part B, and part C. Each of the parts, you must get a minimum score. And part C contains subject related to conventional multiple choice question, generally covering the topics given in the syllabus, and it is of our own subject. And we say, though we say it is a BSc standard, but it is not actually BSc standard. So it is almost MSc standard. For our level, it is on MSc standard. But the difference is, when you go to part C, we have, it's a higher order questions, but you have enough choices. Out of 60, you need to answer only 25. So you need to answer more than just around 35%. That's all. But in part B, out of 40, you need to answer 35. So you should be thorough with almost all the chapters. That's very important. And see, these are the subject codes that you can get it from your brochure. 701 is for chemical science. And essential qualification is the master degree with 55% is minimum qualification. And general and OBC candidates, and for 50% for the SC, ST and persons with disability. And upper age limit is for JRF, the maximum is 20 years. For this zone examination, it is for 1 and 2020. They should not have completed 28 years, right? So upper age limit is 28 years, and the relaxation of 5 years will be given for SC, ST and persons with disability. And for female applicants, and also for female, earlier it was not there. Now they are given, they want to bridge the gender gap. Therefore, they are given 5 years of relaxation to the female applicants. And also now they are given, earlier it was not there for OBC, now they are given 3 years of relaxation to the non-creamy layers of OBC. And there is no upper age limit for lecturership or assistant professorship. When you apply for the examination, if you are above 28 years, and automatically they will publish, even if you get through the examination, they will automatically publish your result only in under lecturership. So even at the age of 57, you are eligible to take up the examination. I know many persons at the age of 55, they crack this NET examination. This just I have explained. And you see the centers, number of centers in Tamil Nadu. We have 20 centers now. Earlier we were having only 2 centers. Now we have 20 centers. So no problem about the traveling. And the duration of examination is 3 hours. There are 2 shifts. One is between 9:30 and 12:30 p.m. Another is between 2:30 and 5:30. So they will they will notify to you. Then you have to go and sit and answer the questions in the computer-based mode. They will give the sheet. You can work out. And minimum qualification we have seen, and they must complete their PG degree within 2 years. That is very important. So earlier, when we were taking up the NET examination, we should complete our MSc degree on the same year. Otherwise, the net is invalid those times. Now they have given the relaxation of 2 years. So if you get through the net examination, then you have to qualify for your degree, PG degree within 2 years of your qualification. And after that, you cannot avail the fellowship, but you can avail lectureship. It is valid throughout your life, but JRF will be valid only for 2 years. So within 2 years, we have to join in any institution. Otherwise, the fellowship will be invalid, and you must appear in the subject of post-graduation only. And the candidates whose PG subject is not covered in the list of subjects provided by the UGC, then they may appear in the subject related to the one they had at PG. For example, if they are botany student, they have to apply only in the life science. Zoology, they have to apply only in the life science. Biochemistry and all, they must apply only under life science. And another advantage now introduced by NTA, that you can make corrections in your form, like NEET. Now they are allowing to make corrections in the NEET. Likewise, you can also correct your application. If you have given any wrong entries, now you can correct it. So the candidates can correct their name, gender, address, category, parents' name, everything. And you know, when a traveler wants to reach the destination, then the route map is very, very important. So only the route map guides him without any trouble and directs the traveler to reach the destination. So the route map for us is a well-defined syllabus. So if an institution has a well-defined syllabus, then it will be a route map for the students to reach the destination. So your candidate must prepare the topics and concepts on which the questions will be based. And along with that, preparation, you must analyze the exam pattern, as well as you must analyze the previous year's question. That's very important. You may wonder, I said, if you get through the net examination, then you should get through the MSc within 2 years. You may wonder. A candidate who is able to get through the net examination must easily get through your PG examination. Is it not? But I'll tell you, there are examples. When I was doing my MSc at American College, my seniors, 2 of my seniors got through the GATE examination, but they didn't get through our semester examination. Then at the time itself, American College has a repeat exam in the May, and they got through by the repeat examination, then the GATE was qualified for that. And you have to analyze the previous year question papers and answer keys. You have to work out. You have to have a best strategy to boost your exam preparation, confidence level by solving the previous year question papers. That's very important. And if you solve your previous year question papers, you know the difficulty level and you know where you are standing and how to lift your standard. That's all, everything. You will analyze yourself. So only by attending the questions, previous year questions, you will be in a position to approach the exam very easily. And the only mantra is book reading. Read the standard books. Why I'm just suggesting reading the standard books is, the questions will be asked only from the standard books. When you go through the Jerry March or QB or Cotton and Wilkinson's like that, very standard books, then if the questions are asked from the standard books, then you will feel that you are familiar with those examples and it will be easy for you to answer. So it's always important that don't depend on the materials or class notes. Please take the standard books and go through the standard books. The notes will help you to get through your semester examination, no doubt. But to improve your knowledge, prepare for this competitive examination, the notes will not have any help at all. You must go through the standard books. Read the standard books. That way you can develop your language, You can develop your subject, basics, everything you can develop. Analytical, you can develop your analytical mind. So analytical thinking is what expected to crack this NET examination. So, and CSR NET qualification brings a lot of advantages and research opportunities for these candidates. That's very important. And but what a problem is, our students don't consider all these benefits. They consider that just an eligibility test to perform research. But since the sufficient number of candidates are not available for the position of assistant professors, the UGC starts keep on giving the relaxations for those with PhDs. Even now, UGC says the mandatory qualification for the entry into the assistant professor, the service is only the NET. And those with PhD are exempted from NET. They use the word exempted from NET. So, if sufficient number of candidates are available, then UGC may go for the recruitment only with the NET candidates. And you get through the NET, you may be directly appointed. The stage may come. And some of the questions I have asked here, some of the students, these questions may come into your mind. So what is CSR NET exam? You know, this is for the research fellowship as well as lecturership. How many times is conducted in the year? Conducted in every December and March and June. And because of COVID-19, it has been postponed till August, but we do not know when they are going to conduct it. And if it is online or offline, it's going to be online hereafter. And number of attempts, how many attempts you can make, no limit for the attempts, but you know, for the JRF, the upper age limit is 28. For lecturership, no. You can take up the exam till your retirement. And can I take the CSR NET in 2 different subjects? No, you cannot take it in 2 different subjects, only one subject at a time. And how long the certificates will be valid? That will be valid only for 2 years from the database. Within these 2 years, you must join. And when the result will be declared after 1 month of examination. So December examination, the result will be declared at the end of January. And June examination, it will be declared at the end of July. And how to prepare for this? Prepare for the exam, you should refer standard books. And you must have the dedication towards it and with some guidance. And can I change my CSR NET exam center? No, once you choose the center, you cannot change. And very important thing is, normally for the university end of semester examination, you used to collect the previous year questions. Now it is very easy, you know, most of the questions are repeated only. So when you collect the repeated question, when you prepare for that, you can easily get through the examination, and also you can get 80% mark minimum. But in CSIR, it is very rare. The questions are not repeated. There is a very, very little chance. And why we are advising you to work out the answers is that only if you work out the answers, you can learn the subject. And you know your level and how far you have to travel. All these things you can get, you can analyze yourself. So that is very important. Analyzing yourself is very important to solve the previous year questions. So don't expect that previous year questions would be asked. And cutoff marks. This cutoff marks plays a significant role, and you must also know it, because I wanted to emphasize on that. I said already for Bharatiya University set examination, just you need to score 10 out of 35, that's all. Out of 35 marks, you have to score only 10. So similar, same level of cutoff is here for NET. Of course, this is the world one, I would say. Earlier, it was, you have to answer 15 questions out of 20, each question is 2 marks, so 30 marks. You have to answer 35 out of 50, then 25 out of 70. Here, so 4 marks, and here 2 marks. So 170 plus 30, 200 marks. So now it is changed. It is part A, we have to answer, the number of questions are same, but part A you will be given 20 questions, part B will be given 40 questions, part C will be given 60. So you need to answer 25 out of 60. and you should go through the questions. Very, very, very important. So I want to tell you one thing. When I took my examination, year of examination, the year 1989, in the year 1988, they are given 75 questions in the part C, out of which they asked only for 25 questions. And in 1989, when I appeared for the exam in the evening session, I could see only 30 questions. So, you know, the travel, tiredness and all, everything, I prefixed my mind. I thought that last year it was 25 out of 75, now it is only 10 out of 30. So I fixed my mind 10, and I know I strong in organic, so I prepared well in organic. So I attended almost 9 questions in organic. Only just half an hour before, I could see that they asked 15 out of 30 at that time. Then I just started rushing through the questions. Just before 5 minutes, I could see the first question is compulsory. So then I was able to answer somehow, and I got through the examination. So one thing I wanted to tell you, the message I wanted to pass you is, it may differ from time to time. So previous year it was 25 out of 75. When I took the examination, only 15 out of 30, and the first question was compulsory. So likewise, it may change slightly, but you have to be careful. You just go through the go through the question papers carefully and then answer it. That is very, very important. Don't consider that part A 15 out of 20, part B 35 out of 40, and part C say 25 out of 60. Don't fix in your mind. It may change from time to time. And another important thing is, so for chemistry, you have, see, 3 broad fields: organic, inorganic, and physical. So when you are very strong in physical, prepare physical very well. You need to answer only 30% of the questions to get through the NET examination. So prepare very well for physical. Then you focus your attention for organic and inorganic. So that is the best way to crack the examination. So they will ask 60 questions, out of which you need to answer 25, and your cutoff is only 50%, minimum cutoff. So that means what? Out of 60, you need to answer only 12 or 13% correctly. So if you answer 12 or 13 questions correctly, you will get through the examination. That means out of 60, 20 questions will be in physical, 20 will approximately in organic, and 20 will be in inorganic. So it is very easy for you when you prepare. If you are interested in one particular subject, you prepare very well for the subject. Then you prepare for the remaining. So that will be the easiest method to crack this examination. And you know, this is of part A, which I have already discussed. Part B at present, this question range is part B 20 to 35. They will ask, at present they are asking 35 out of 40. And part C contains higher value questions that may test candidate knowledge of scientific concepts and application of scientific concepts. So the question shall be of analytical nature, because you know every question carries 4 marks. So you have to work out the question and answer. That is very important. And you know there's a negative mark, and part A carries, already we discussed the general awareness, aptitude of scientific and quantitative reasoning, and questions would be so designed to judge the creativity, analytical ability, and research aptitude of the candidate. And the questions would also be set up in the areas chemical sciences, earth sciences, atmospheric, ocean, and planetary sciences and life sciences, mathematical sciences, and physical science. Each of these subjects carries 3 to 4 questions. And they also, you have some questions in the computer. Even the 1989, the first batch we were, I hope, they introduced the computer questions. At that time, we did not know what is computer and computer language. So they introduced. Now I will move on to the cutoff marks. So this, for paper 1, you see approximately 40%. It was early, this world, not now. And for SCST, it is 35% and PA students. Paper 2, general and OBC, it was 40, earlier it was 50, and for others it is 35. And see, paper 3, it is 50%, for OBC and others it is 40%. Think about that. You need to answer 25 questions out of 60, and out of these 25, you need to answer only 50% correct. What does it mean? If you are able to answer 13 questions correctly, you will crack the examinations. Out of 13 out of 60 is enough. You just think about that. It's not possible for you. So the aim is very important. You should aim for that. So only when you aim, you can achieve the goal. So it's very, very easy. And thing is, if you answer more negative questions, your marks will be deducted. So don't go for the negative answers. You are required to answer only 25 questions. Choose the correct questions and answer. That is very important. Now, see these are the cutoff for the December 2019 exam. For chemical sciences, you see for unreserved open, 55% was the cutoff for JRF. For economically weaker section, it is 50%, and OBC it was 47.5%, SC it was nearly 40%, and ST it was nearly 30%, and PH it was only 25%. These were the cutoff marks. See, it is almost less than 50 or less than 50% you need to score. And if you can, and it differs from subject to subject, and from exam, every exam it differs. It depends upon the number of students appeared and difficulty level of questions and all. So they will decide. But it is approximately 50% for open, 55%, and OBC it is approximately above 45%, and SC it is approximately 40, and ST at approximately 30, and PH it is approximately 25%. But it differs with subject also. And for lecturers, if you see, the cutoff is just 5% lesser than this for all the categories. See here, 55 to around 50, likewise. So all the categories, just 5% less, almost, except this PH. And see this is a cutoff for June 2019, again almost the same, with a marginal difference is noticed. 47, 41, likewise, it is decreased from say 50 to 40, 41, see here, 40 to 34, 30 to 28. So, but it will not exceed 50 or 55, that is sure. Again, for this lectureship, it is just 5% approximately lesser. December 2018, around the same, almost the same cutoff. See here, 52, 40 around, and 37 and all. So, how do they decide the cutoff marks for the NET examination? So, only the exam authority decides. There is no clear-cut idea for us. Based on the following parameters, only number of seats available, number of appeared candidates, and difficulty level of examinations. So, these are the factors. And these results will be declared. Now, you know, these are the fellowship before that, and it was revised. Before that, it was 16,000 for JRF. Then from 110 2014, 25,000. Now it is 31,000. Even the UGC may revise to another scale in a few years. Now 31,000 and 35,000. There's a JRF 31,000 and SRF 35,000. So the important of NET again is the institutions are now rated on the basis of number of NET qualified students. So if you go for NAC, if you go for the ranking, everything, they ask for the number of NET qualified candidates. So when a student gets through the NET examination, they are not only equipping himself, but also he is supporting his institution. And the quality of the institution, the ranking of the institution will be improved because of this number of NET passed candidates. Now, they are also asking for the pass percentage, but hope in future they will now, even now they are asking for, if you go for the DST FIST presentation, they ask for how many candidates qualified for NET. Even the review meeting, they are asking it. Even the final report, they are asking for. The NAC, they are asking for that. The ranking, they are asking for that. So, when you get through the NET examination, you are indirectly supporting your own institution. Not only supporting yourself, you are also supporting your institution. So, that will be the boost, moral boost for your professors to continue the guiding sessions for the NET. And what is more important is self-motivation. Any person wants to crack this UPSC, IAS or IPS examination, or this NET examination, they should be self-motivated. So I don't believe in that somebody will motivate others. If we have self-motivation, we can support you. So we cannot install a fire in your mind. Fire should be inside. That is very important. You should be motivated. The fire should be in your mind. Then only you can help you to achieve this goal. And once again, I want to repeat, I have seen many students, even in our institution, they are capable of cracking this NET examination, but they become very normal. They didn't concentrate upon, they took it very lightly. They didn't even apply for the examination, even our repeated request. That shows their negligence or laziness or lack of self-motivation. And they didn't know the benefit of this. They just bother about only the temporary arrangements, that's all. And for which the most important is the curriculum and self-study and group study. So very importantly, if you have, just form a group of students who are interested in NET so that you can crack the exam. So you have to aim for that, you have to focus on that, you have to dedicate yourself and put a hard work commitment till the goal is achieved. So all these things, what is most important is the interest. So interest only creates dedication and hard work. So without interest, if you are not having interest, then dedication cannot come and the hard work cannot come. And I said already, you have to depend only on the book reading and form a group. And the group discussion supports you a lot. And education is meant not only to nurture the excellence already in a gifted person, but also to uplift the not so gifted so that he or she is equipped to safeguard her interest in the independent democratic India. So that is the aim of education. And now I will spend another 5 minutes to talk about our foundation. So now we are running a foundation called as Professor Ramasubbu Jayaraman Science Foundation. As Dr. Rajagopal mentioned, Professor Ramasubbu Jayaraman retired as a professor at Bharatdasan University. And I did my PhD at Bharatdasan University. And these students of Ramasubbu Jayaraman, not only the research scholars, all the MSc students or even the other subjects, students of other subjects, we joined together and we formed a foundation. It is operating from Chennai. And many persons have been involved in this. The pillars of these foundations are in Chennai, and each and everyone is contributing one way or other. We started this foundation in the year 2011 at Bharatdasan University by conducting a seminar, but we thought that by sending nearly 3 lakhs, we thought that it is waste. So we should support in the name of our professor, we should support the student community and we should inspire the student community. So we started conducting the state level proficiency test from 2012 across Tamil Nadu. Earlier it was in 6 centers, now we are conducting the exams in 12 centers, 11 centers. And simply what you have to do is, this is our website, rjsf.org.in. Just what you need to do is, in the month of end of January, just to enter into your website and register yourself with your name and your register number. And they will ask for the center. Now you can choose any of the centers, irrespective of your place of study. And you can take up the examination at that center. And by March, we will declare the result. And the questions are on par with CSIR NET. Same part A, part B, and part C, same pattern. And we will usually, earlier we selected 60 students and conducted this program. First we conducted at Crescent University, Abdul Rahman University, then 1 year at American College, then at say SSN Engineering College, then PS, then at Anna University. Since the last year, due to water problem, again we moved to the Abdul Rahman University. And this year, actually, we got permission to conduct the program at Anna University. So that is a 1 month full residential program. So we'll get resource person across Tamil Nadu from IIT Chennai, Madras University, all the universities and colleges. The reputed persons and have been involved in this net. We don't call it as a coaching program, we call it as a research drive program. So it is the 9th year since, because of this COVID-19 pandemic, we are conducting the classes online. Now, the top one, we will issue certificates to top 100 students normally. So that will be of useful to you for getting the job. Normally, 1,500 students will register for the program, out of which only 1,000 will take up the examination, and we will issue certificate to the top 100, and we will call top 100 for the classes usually. Now, but due to this pandemic, we are conducting the classes online. Now, around 150 students are attending the classes through online, and we have completed so far 160 hours of our class successfully. And our senior students they are of great support to us, and many students of RJSF, they are doing PhD across world in other countries and in IITs and IIC and universities. Every year out of 100 or 70, minimum 30% get through these examinations. So you can see when you come into that, come for the program, you can see that the topmost students from across Tamil Nadu, from a rural place to the universities, so central universities. So the students across Tamil Nadu, and the classes will be between 9 to 5, even sometimes we have discussion hours till night, 8 o'clock. And only the 1 month fully your attention will be diverted for preparation of that. So that will be a free coaching program. We will not charge for this examination or this research track program. And we are also giving it was the earlier certificate, and our patterns are KKB of IIT Chennai and Professor P. Natarajan of the director of Varna Bonet. And now, C9, we have conducted 160 hours of class. So just to relax, now the senior students, so they are acting as mentors. Every year they will come to our program, and they act as a coordinator for the program. So, and now they act as a mentors. For every 10 students, they are mentors. So fully the program was taken care of by our senior students. And now they came up with a new idea of like our IPL, Chemistry Premier League 2020. So they are divided into teams, so many teams, and 12 teams, I hope. And they are conducting the quarter-final, and semi-final. Now the pre-quarter final is over, the quarter-final match is going on, and every team they will ask 25 questions, and they conduct like a cricket match. So that was very interesting to see that for every match they will learn 60 questions, answers for 60 questions. So all these questions are designed by the senior students who got through the NET examination and everything. Even after each question, they will give the explanation for each question. So likewise, the program was going on. If some of you are interested in, please mail to me, give your WhatsApp number. I will send a link to you. Right, you can just watch the CPL program, so that you can learn in every match. You can learn at least 60 questions. So please utilize this opportunity. Earlier we used to call every college and ask the students to apply for the exam. Now we are not at all doing it. The students are aware of that. Even from last year onwards, a good number of students are going from this kind of area for these RJSF classes. And I think I'd like to see a few questions. I'd like to ask the organizers, shall I take another 10 minutes or wind up? Because I have a few questions to discuss. Let me clarify with the organizers.
Yes, sir, it will be useful for the students.
Shall I take another 10 minutes, Sabar?
Yes, sir, I think so.
Oh.
I think you can take, sir, because it is useful.
Thank you. So I'm just going to present the questions which have already appeared in the net, right? So I cannot stop this session without showing the questions. So you can answer, and you can answer the questions in the chat box itself. So which is non-aromatic? I've shown 4 compounds, and you can answer in the chat box. I'll give 1 minute time, and I will give the explanation for it. One minute or 30 seconds, better, preferably 30 seconds. You can give the answers in the chat box. So now it's an easy question. So now you can check option A. It is what? Cyclooctatetraene. You know, it's supposed to be anti-aromatic, but it is non-planar. Therefore, it is non-aromatic. And second, it is supposed to be aromatic 10-annually. Since because of this hydrogen-hydrogen inner hydrogen interaction, and it is not planar because the planarity is the very important requirement for a compound to be aromatic. Then only it can sustain the induced ring current. So this is also non-aromatic, but this, if you consider this is anti-aromatic, you know, for a number of electrons, and this is aromatic. Therefore, you can see that option, the A option 4, A and B, both are non-aromatic. The next question. Which is the correct order of reactivity for the SN1 reaction between this tosylate, alkyl tosylate and ethanol at 25 degrees Celsius? And the R group is given here. The R group for A is ethyl, R group for B is this triphenyl methyl, C is isopropyl, and this is, you know, this is halide, and this is benzyl. The same similar question may also be asked for SN2 and others. So what is the correct order of reactivity? Now there are 4 options. You can, by choosing 1 or 2 answers, sometimes you can easily eliminate other options and choose the answers. That is the right thing, because you know, certain cases, first we have to eliminate the least possible answers. Then you have to go through these the most possible answers and choose the correct answer. So I could not view the chat box. What is the answer? Can I put somebody? What's the answer actually?
Most of them have given B is the answer.
B.
Selected,
the 1, 2, 3, 4.
sorry, 2.
It is
Yes. Most of them have selected with B, E, E, C, A.
B.
Second option.
Second option, B, E, D, C, A. Okay, very good. So we know that triphenyl methyl radical, or it is a cation, is the most stabilized carbocation. So in the SN1 reaction, you must approach in that way. SN1 reaction, the reactivity depends upon the intermediate, you know. So the intermediate decides, the stability of the intermediate decides the reactivity. So it forms a carbocation intermediate. So stability of the carbocation intermediate is the key factor. Now you have to just arrange them in the order of stability. You know, triphenyl methyl, see that you don't need to look into any other option. So B is the highest reactive. The option is available only in 2. So you don't need to bother about others. You can easily choose. In that way, why I am telling you is, in that way, if you are confident, you can choose and go. In that way, you can save the time for the other questions. That is very important. So saving the time for the toughest questions, if you are familiar with certain answers, then don't waste the time in that. You save the time for the toughest. B, the next is E, this is also stabilized benzyl, is stabilized by resonance, then allyl. So these three are stabilized by resonance. And next comes what? Isopropyl, it is because of hyperconjugation, or you call it as inductive effect, then comes ethane. So 2 is the correct answer. Very good. Next one, predict the major products of the reaction. Sambat, what is the answer, Sambat sir?
People are starting to answer.
What's the option they are given?
I think only one that's given. Fourth is the right answer.
4, both 1 and 2.
Yes.
Yeah, it is, of course, this is available in Gelimerts itself. This is not possible because of, so for the mono-substituted benzene, it is very easy to predict, but di-substituted, you have to predict based on 3 rules. And this cannot be possible because of the steric interaction. And there is a rule, when the meta-directing group is meta to the ortho-para-directing group, then the incoming group will go to ortho to the meta-directing. And another, the first says that when both meta-directing and ortho-para-directing competes, only the ortho-para-directing dominates over the product. So this is not possible because of the steric effect, but this will decide the product because this is ortho-para-directing and this is meta-directing. So this will decide the product. So only the product 2 is formed. So next, regarding the spectroscopy. So, I think this question is asked in part B in the previous year's question. The NMR spectrum of AX3. So A type contains 1 proton, X type contains 3 protons. Exhibit lines at 2.4, 2 and 2.5. For X protons, X protons and 4.3, 4.4, 4.5 and 4.6 for A-type protons, measured from TMS with an instrument operating at 200 MHz. The chemical shift of A and X protons and coupling constants are respectively. We are asking for the chemical shift of A and X and for the coupling constant. If you solve coupling constant, you can eliminate 2 answers. Then you can decide between the other 2. Or you can solve the chemical shift, you can eliminate the remaining answers and you can choose between the 2. What's the answer?
Only one participant answered as 3 is the right answer.
It is
3, sir. Third is
3.
That is the right.
Oh, okay, very good. Very good. So, third is the answer. Okay, I will explain. The NMR spectrum of AX3 type, A proton and X3 protons, these protons will not show a single line. This will be again split by the neighbors. Because it shows 3 protons, they show what? 2ni plus 1. That means 4 different magnetic orientations for this. So this single line will be split into 4. So you get a quadrat for these A protons. So exactly the single line should be between 4.5 and 4.5. So therefore the correct chemical shift is 4.45 for A type of proton. And X3 protons only one neighbor, so this signal will be split into doublet, because it shows two different magnetic orientations, plus half and minus half, so it's split into doublet. So it is 2.4 and 2.5. So one signal split into doublet. So midway is the original position of the signal. So one is de-shielded, another is shielded. So it is 2.45. So 4.45 and 2.45 are the values. So using this, and importantly, they are given the X proton value, then A proton value, then they asked for A proton value and X. So you should not be get confused. Okay. So now this, see here, that is the difference. This is the correct one. They are given what? X proton and A proton, but opposite they are given A proton and X proton. This is X proton and A proton. So we have to be very careful, right? And also this. So you can eliminate this answer. Now you have to choose between these two. Eliminate this and this. Choose between these two. And the coupling constant, you can decide between the gap of this line, right? Between these two, either these or this, the coupling constant will be same because they are the coupling partners. Therefore, if you calculate with this or this, A signal or X signal, the value will be same. Just you have this is 0.1 ppm, 2.5 minus 2.4, it is 0.1 ppm. If you multiply by operating frequency, you will get the coupling constant. 0.1 into 200, you will get 20. So 20 is the coupling constant. So you can eliminate this answer. So the correct answer is 2, 4.5, 2.5 and 20. But if you determine the coupling constant first, you can eliminate these two answers and choose between these two. So either way, you can go for the answer. So the correct answer is this. I think this was asked in part B in the NET question. Now, this again, this was actually asked in part C, 4-mark question. The previous was 2-mark question, this is a 4-mark question. An organic compound having molecular formula C15H14O exhibited the following signals. 2.4 singlet, 7.2 doublet with a coupling constant of 8 Hz, 7.7 doublet with a coupling constant of 8 Hz. And C13 NMR, they have alkyl region only one signal and other regions. Aromatic region, you have 4 signals and 190. That that is due to your carbonyl group. And the structure is given. Earlier they give a say problem. You need to arrive at the structure and answer. Now it is very easy. They are given the structure. You just need to eliminate and choose the correct one. So compared to solving the problem, choosing the structure is rather very easy. Just based on the number of signals, we can choose the value, choose the structure. Sorry. What's the answer?
Only one participant have responded, sir, and he has given the first answer.
First one, okay. Yes. Okay, I'll discuss. Due to the lack of time, I'll discuss. See here, you know that 7 region is for aromatic and this is 8 Hz, 8 Hz. Coupling constant. That means you have got only 2 signals. That means it's a symmetrical pattern. So it is symmetrically substituted. And only one alkyl signal, 2.4. 2.4 meant for the methyl group directly attached to the aromatic ring, or the methyl group attached to a carbonyl group. Both will show around 2 to 2.5. So now, based on just this value, proton NMR itself, we can decide. So you need a symmetrical pattern, right? You see here, it is not symmetric. This is 1 proton and 3 protons, so it is not symmetric. And this is also not symmetric, right? We have 5 protons in aromatic region, and you think about that. Here you have 1 methyl protons and 1 is acyl proton. So you must get 2 different proton NMR value for this. Maybe in the same range, 2 to 2.5. But you must get 2 different values, and this aromatic ring is different from this. So you must get what? Minimum 4 signals. 1 set for this and another set for this. But we have got only 1 set, 7.2 and 7.7. So this is also eliminated. So which is symmetric? This is symmetric. Both the rings are symmetric. So you will get only 1 set of signals, 7.2 and 7.7 with the same coupling constant. Here, here, and here. And another is you have got only 1 value for alkyl protons, that is for this toluene proton, that is a methyl proton attached to this aromatic ring. So this is the best choice. Okay, I hope you understand. Very easily you can eliminate without putting too much of effort. So if you solve this kind of problem, easily you can approach this NET examination. You can get 4 marks. The minimum 2 or 3 questions would be asked in spectroscopy, and put together B and C, they will ask 4 questions minimum. So you can easily answer these questions. And again, the similar a part C question that carries 4 marks. And sorry, I forgot to add a double bond here. You know, here you have a double bond between A and B protons. You just add a double bond here. Approximate chemical shifts are given. What is the correct form they are asking for? Yeah, what's the answer?
We have to present any answer.
No answer. Okay. Okay, it's very easy to answer actually. You see, just look into this ester proton, OCH3. You know, this typical value is around 3.8. Now you can eliminate other answers based on that. So OCH3, that's a D proton, should be around 3.8. See here, this proton will be around 2.1. So, but here it is interchanged. You know, double bonded attached to alkene, it comes around 2, like aromatic CH3 attached to aromatic ring. So these two are wrong, and 3.9, that means it is only between 2 and 4. Now how to decide? See, these values are same, only there is an interchange of value between A and B. One is de-shielded, another is shielded. How to go for that? All are alkenyl protons. Now you see there is a carbonyl group. You have to invoke this concept of resonance. Now consider the electronic effects. Now see, this is an electron with a dicarbonyl group, so this double bond will be shifted towards this. So this has higher electron density than this. So thereby these protons are de-shielded and A protons are shielded. Even if they give carbon values, this carbon is shielded and this carbon is de-shielded. That means de-shielded protons and carbons will come at a higher value. So this B should have a higher value than A. See that option B is having higher value than A only in the option 4. So 4 is the correct option. And you have to invoke the electronic effect. Very simple. And see this. This again the part B question, 2-mark question. IUPAC name of the compound given is.
No responses.
Okay. Okay, you see here, you have to decide the Z and E configuration and eliminate 2 answers. See, it's very easy, you know. E means you have to assign the priority. The same priority is on the same side, then it is Z, like cis. Opposite side, it's like you call it as E. See here, you have a hydrogen and this, you have a hydrogen. So this is a priority 1, this priority 1, they are in the opposite side. That means what? It is E. So you can very well eliminate the answers 1 and 2. Now you have to choose between 3 and 4. Now you have to assign RS configuration. Very simple. You have been studying RS configuration start from UG onwards. So it is 1, priority 1, priority 2, priority 3. So it is R, you know, that hydrogen, this is away from you, so hydrogen is towards you. So you have to fix your eye here and view one way. If you view from this side, opposite side, it should be yes. But you can also choose the answer in another way. You can view from this front side and choose the opposite answer because the least prior element is towards you. So you can choose the opposite answer. So 1, 2, 3, it is odd, therefore your answer is yes. So the correct answer is 4. So it's very simple. You need to know ZE configuration and RS configuration. That's all. They are combined together. That's all. And my last question. You might have studied these only in PG. Homotopic, isotopic, anechotopic, and diastereotopic. Anechotopic means you just choose a set of ligands or groups, and if you replace one, you will get one enantiomer. If you replace other, you will get another enantiomer. So in those cases, you call them as enantiotopic. If you get diastereoisomers, then you call it as diastereotopic. So this is again the question asked in the previous CSER exam. So this is the last question. So any answer?
So only one participant have responded and he has given 2 as the right answer.
Isotopic.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But isotopic means, take for example, acetone or acetyl chloride. So that protons, if you replace one by other, and for example, CH3Cl, if I replace the proton by another group, even ZCH2Cl, till I have 2 protons. So that is isotopic. The homotopic otherwise. And here you see, if I replace this by another group, it loses its plane of symmetry, so it becomes an enantiomer of this. If I replace this by one group, and it will not have, now it has a plane of symmetry, but if you replace the HA by some other group, it will not have plane of symmetry, therefore this compound is chiral. It possesses the property of chirality, and replace this by the same group, I'll get the enantiomer of the first one. So these 2 protons are enantiotopic. So that's the answer. Hope I have discussed a few important questions to you. And I think, I'm sorry I took a little more time, and I want to end up my session by the important quotes from our religion, Professor Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. கிராமத்தில் இருந்தாலும் நகரத்தில் இருந்தாலும் படித்த குடும்பத்தில் இருந்து வந்தாலும் படிக்காத குடும்பத்தில் இருந்து வந்தாலும் உங்களால் வெற்றி அடைய முடியும். நீ யாராக இருந்தாலும் உழைப்பால் அறிவால் வெற்றி அடைவார். So this knowledge and hard work is very important. And if you want to shine like a sun, first burn like a sun. So without a hard work, you cannot do anything. You cannot change your future. It's not in your hand. But you can change your habits. That is the attitude. So, and surely your habits will change your future. That means your attitude will change your future. And dream is not that which you see while sleeping. It is something that does and not let you to sleep. So that is very important. So that self-motivation will install fire within you. That will make you, that will not, should not allow you to sleep till you achieve the goal of cracking this NET examination. And finally, I say your attitude is your altitude. And thank you for your patience once again. I thank the organizers for giving, especially Dr. Rajagopal, and for giving me a chance to share my experience with you. And I thank once again and congratulate and thank the entire team. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have received some questions from the audience.
Please.
Let me read out, sir. You can.
Yeah.
The first question is, sir, received from Swadita. Sir, I'm going to join MSc this year. How can I use this COVID-19 period in an effective way for NET preparation?
So, going to join MSc, and you know that even now the first year MSc students can also take up the examination. So, the best way to do is you study the subjects of BSc standard. So, that is very important. So, the questions are from BSc level also. When you study the books, standard textbook for BSc level, and your basics, then it will strengthen your basics for MSc, and you can easily take up the examination. So that's always important. When you are strong in BSc, it's very easy to strengthen your subject in MSc. It's not that you are studying a new subject in MSc, it's just an elevation of BSc, that's all. The extension of BSc and the higher level of BSc. So you're trying to go through the basics of chemistry at your all BSc level. That is very important.
And many students have, many participants have asked you to suggest a standard book for preparation of CSIR.
Yeah, standard textbooks for the preparation. For organic, first you must thorough with Jerry-March. That's very, very important. So Jerry-March is the Bible of organic chemistry. And one thing I want to tell you, when you go for lectures to other colleges, even the standard institution, when you used to ask the question, how many of you touched the Jerry-March? I will get the answers only from 1 or 2. Even at the very standard institution, they got 80%, 85%, and simply they stick on to the books. So that's a problem. So they should go through the standard textbook. Jerry-March, first you go through the Jerry-March and I.L. Feenar volume and Mackey and Smith. There are several books, right? And if you refer your syllabus, even your syllabus, your MSc syllabus, the university level, they are given the reference books, textbooks and reference, all standard. For organic, I will suggest you that Jerry-March you must go through fully. Then there are calculus and Stuart Warren for this retrosynthetic analysis, and you will also get questions from retrosynthetic analysis. And spectroscopy, Silverstein, Bachelor, and Kent. There are 2 very, very important books to go through. And physical chemistry, of course, you have ranging from Walter J. Moore, and you have individual books for individual subjects. And if you go through the syllabus, at the reference book they are given. And for, of course, for organic, you have some common books. For physical, for quantum, Macquarie, Walter J. Moore, you can go through. And for group theory, you have Cotton, F.A. Cotton, and likewise for thermodynamics, you have other books, and even you can go through statistical Priyakas and Rajaram and others, kinetics and others. You have several books, right? Just the important textbook you can ask your professors also, and you can find the important textbook at the end of your syllabus as a reference books. And inorganic QE you must go through, and Cotton and Wilkinson. And J.D. Lee. These 3 are very, very important textbooks you must go through. And the coordination chemistry, I would rather say, coordination chemistry is a very important paper you must go through. Several questions will be asked based on coordination chemistry, catalysis, and bioinorganic chemistry. So coordination chemistry is a very, very important topic. And for organic, it is a reagent chemistry, very important. And spectroscopy, they will ask only problems, right? And physical chemistry also, they will ask only problems. And periodic properties, again, it's very, very important. So physical chemistry also, if you are interested in kinetics or quantum mechanics, solve the problems. Try to solve all the problems from group theory, quantum mechanics. And try to solve the problems in coordination chemistry. That's very, very important. Right? Term symbols. They'll ask for the term symbols, right? Catalysis, all these things. And they'll ask many questions from organometallic chemistry, carbonyls, regarding the IR stretching frequency and the geometry, everything they will ask.
I think people have motivated by your speech, sir. They have asked some questions about your organization, sir. So they are asking, is the registration free for that organization?
Yeah, it is totally free. So the intimation will be sent via WhatsApp and to your institute. I only posting the letters now, and we used to send across Tamil Nadu nearly 140 colleges. Even if you don't receive anything, don't bother about that. Just open our website. I have given the website rjsf.org.in. Open that at the end of January, and you can directly register. What is this? What the input which is required is your name, your institution name, your register number, and your address. That's all. Your phone number and email ID, and we will communicate to you through your phone number and email ID. And at that time itself, we will inform the date of examination, and you can choose your examination center, and you can directly go to the examination. No fee, nothing. So you contact me.
Sorry. One of the participants have asked, is this program is only for chemistry or others can also?
It is now it's only for chemistry. It is a self-funded, say this foundation, and we are doing it only for chemistry. Actually, not
That's
for
all the
others.
question from the participants. Sir. Thanks for the wonderful talk. May I request Dr. J. Balamani, please come online and give the welcome address.
Once again, I apologize. My apology to the organizers and audience since I took more than I thought of completing on time, but I
May I
took
request J.
20 times more. I am very sorry, and once again I thank the organizers and participants for your patience. Thank you. Organizers, audience, since I took more than I thought of completing on time, but I
May I request J.
20 times more. I am very sorry, and once again I thank organizers and participants for your patience. Thank you. Organizers, audience, since I took more than I thought of completing on time, but I
May I request J.
20 times more. I am very sorry, and once again I thank organizers and participants for your patience. Thank you. Organizers, audience, since I took more than I thought of completing on time, but I
May I request J.
20 times more. I am very sorry, and once again I thank organizers and participants for your patience. Thank you. Organizers, audience, since I took more than I thought of completing on time, but I
May I request J.
20 times more. I am very sorry, and once again I thank organizers and participants for your patience. Thank you. Organizers, audience, since I took more than I thought of completing on time, but I
May I request J.
20 times more. I am very sorry, and once again I thank organizers and participants for your patience. Thank you. Organizers, audience, since I took more than I thought of completing on time, but I
May I request J.
20 times more. I am very sorry, and once again I thank organizers and participants for your patience. Thank you. Organizers, audience, since I took more than I thought of completing on time, but I
May I request
Hello, sir. Hello, again, sir. உள்ள வந்துட்டேன். Good afternoon to all. Thank you is the best prayer that anyone could say. Thank you expresses extreme gratitude, humility, and understanding. With these wise words, we have come to the end of the webinar. I find great pleasure in proposing the vote of thanks. On behalf of the Department of Chemistry, Chikana Government Arts College, I thank our chief guest, Dr. Ponusami sir, from the bottom of my heart, who has graced this occasion with his presence. In spite of his busy schedule, he agreed to give the presentation. It was really a highly informative and useful presentation for students community. And sir quoted that as the route map guides and directs a traveler to reach its destination. It's a very nice thing. That is, sir is telling you have to focus, dedicate, hard work, then only you will achieve. So it's a very important thing that sir has given to students. That is, sir motivated very interestingly in his lecture, and those students who don't know about the examinations, they came to know very clearly what is CSIR, what is UGC, what is NET, what is SET, everything. So I think students will utilize this and they will work very hard and they will get succeed. And sir also positively said, wherever you go, you are preferred if you are clearing the examination. So that will motivate the students and they will try very hard. So it's a very interesting thing. So thank you very much, sir, for your speech. Then our sincere thanks also goes to our principal, Dr. C.V. Deba ma'am, for her selfless initiative for our welfare. And inspiration also has given us to strive excellence. Thank you, ma'am. And then we are extending our sincere thanks to our head of the department, Dr. G. Rajagopal, for his constant support, whose guidance and cooperation at every stage was very valuable. So thank you, sir. I extend my gratitude to the organizing committee and technical committee who have done a wonderful job organizing the webinar. So a special thanks to Vijayan sir and Sambat Kumar sir. My thanks to our beloved faculties and students for their support in coordinating and organizing the webinar. On behalf of the Department of Chemistry, I thank all the participants who have made this webinar a grand success. God bless and good day to each and every one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, sir. So we are going to end up the session. Thank you.